Hello guys, today I want to show you a game between Eric Watkinson Marchand vs Robert James Fischer. Uh, James Fischer plays with the black pieces and Watkinson opens with the c4. So Bobby is with the black pieces and goes for the knight to f6, knight to f3, c6, b3, bishop to g7, bishop to b2, Bobby castles and g3, opening the line in the king side to make a room for the bishop, d6, bishop to g2, like expected, e5, opening the center, d3, bringing the pawn to defend another defensor and opening also the line, this square for the queen and possibility for the knight also. So Bobby goes for the knight to d3, Watkinson castles, knight back to e8 and queen to c2. Bobby goes for the opening his center a bit and making this nice wall with the pawns, and he has also the protectors, so it's good for black right now. d4, challenging the center, and even e5. Knight back to e1, pawn to c6, e3, queen to e7, knight to c3, pawn to h5, rook to d1. So bringing another defensor for this and probably going for this d5 later. h4, Bobby pushes the king side already, and queen to e1, e2. Then even pawn eliminates this other pawn in the g3, and he picks that, of course. Knight d to f6, just bringing the knight to game. Knight to c2, bishop to d7, rook back to b1, king to h7, just getting the king out of that nasty diagonal, which could be open pretty soon when this maybe could push and queen could come there and make nasty discoveries. And knight to d1, rook to h8, knight to f2, bringing king back to g8, little maneuver with the king. Not sure what was the plan there, to bring the king here and then go back. Maybe he wanted to just bring his he wanted to just bring his rook on this h file. So sorry about that. Rook f to e1. So putting the pressure on this diagonal file. Knight to h3, knight to f6, and knight to f4. Queen to f7, rook to f1, g to g5. Putting pressure for this knight here. So knight goes to h3, g4, attacking again, and going back to f4. Knight to g5, king to f2, and rook to h2, pinning the bishop for the moment. Rook to h1, putting pressure for this rook, and rook and trade happens and opens this file for this rook. Knight to e6, going for other round, and knight picks the knight at e6, bishop to e6, attacking this pawn with bishop and closing the lines, making this beautiful pawn structure ready, and pushing pawn to c5, queen to c7, defending and getting this square for his queen, so this guy cannot attack via that route. Putting the bishop f7, f1, knight to h5, rook to g1, bishop to f6, queen to e1. Just maneuvering with the queen and waiting for Bobby Fischer to make the work here. And black structure is really beautiful. He has this pawn line is ready. He has these bishops are ready in work, and it's like looks for really good for black now. King to g7, king to e2, and white has not much to do here. His rook is undeveloped here. It's only defending here. It cannot be bring to this side, and black is defending pretty nicely with the bishops and also with the knight, and the queen is free to roam wherever it needs to be, and rook is also active. Queen to f2, just attacking this pawn, but Bobby goes for king to g6 defending, and bishop to b4, knight to g7, king to d1, knight to e6, knight to e1, b6, pushing the pawn on the queen side, bishop to e2, bishop to g5, and rook to f1, just making a double attack for this pawn. It's like the only opportunity white has right now. And knight to g7, back for defense. Knight to g2, probably idea to bring the knight over here and make the trade with the bishop, and probably something via that way. But Bobby Fischer answers with the e6, eliminating the pawn at the b6, and trade. Knight to f4, bishop eliminates the knight at the f4, and this pawn picks up the bishop, and c5, c5, trade, and opening the lines for the white to push his pawns here in the queen side, but it's not ready to be pushed because there's no defender yet. And d4, attacking the bishop, back to d2, d3, attacking the other bishop, bringing the bishop to c4, so it's like sacrificing the bishop sacrificing bishop to get this nice attack with the pawn with check, and two defenders here, and so Bobby goes for picking it up with the bishop, and here comes the bishop to c7, picking up the knight and attacking the rook, and wanting to, and if the rook now moves, it cannot be moved because if king if eliminates bishop, then it's this bishop doesn't have any defense yet anymore. So he needs to bring the rook back to defense and bishop to a1, just getting in the cover, and queen to h2, offering the queen trade, and bringing the bishop to c3, waiting for Bobby to make the move, and pawn to g3, attacking the queen twice. And it was this position when Eric Watkinson Marchand resigned the game. Since there is not much to do, it's few moves and for the checkmate, and he's going to lose the queen. Next move, if he eats this guy here, it's going to be really nasty, getting the queen in the game. It cannot be defended, or if you want to defend it, you have to keep the rook over here for rest of the game. And then you can do like this, and with the check, this guy cannot move much since these squares are taken. And next move, it's going to be like, well, it's really hard to play this with white, since your material is equal, but black is much better here since it's been pushed much further, and rook is stuck here defending this pawn to getting queening. So that was nice game from Bobby Fischer, and see you in the next one. Bye.